Before you sign that contract, watch this, because there are 11 jobs that sound honorable and fun in the military until you actually have to do them. I'm talking about brutal hours, zero respect, no career upside, and some of them are outright dangerous for no reason. Starting off with number 1, which is air traffic controller. Now, air traffic control is the guy who sits up in the tower and tells all the airplanes and helicopters and things what to do. And this sounds like a great career, especially when you figure in that on the civilian side, these guys get paid 6 figures, like decently high 6 figures, depending on the airport, to be an air traffic controller. So there is a lot of opportunity here for them to excel outside of the military. The reason I ranked this one poorly is because whether you know it or not, traffic control is like brain surgeon level stress without that much pay. I mean, they get paid well, but not as well as a brain surgeon. And the reason is that you're trying to coordinate all these different aircraft coming in and you're stressed all the time. You have to be on edge all the time. And if something goes wrong, that's your ass. And so the air traffic control guys and girls have a really high stress rate, a lot of mental stuff they have to work through. And actually, and unfortunately, they have a fairly high suicide rate, both on the military and the civilian sector, because of how stressful it is and how kind of Groundhog Day it can be rather than like a rewarding thing. I mean, it's rewarding for sure to help land aircraft and like save the day when something goes wrong, but it's also very taxing and stressful. So that's why I put it up here. And that's not even to worry about like the fact that you might be nocturnal. So you might be dealing with all the stress plus terrible sleep cycles and just career-ending anxiety, which just doesn't sound fun to me. Number 2 is mortuary affairs. And I was actually having a conversation with a buddy about this the other day when I was in Portugal, because this is a job field that nobody even knows that people do. And it does exist. And it's awful, and I cannot imagine being the guy or girl who has to do this. Mortuary affairs is the person who deals with all the dead bodies. Now, this could look like you handle the transporting the body back to the U.S., and you've got the flag, and it's very honorable, and you're escorting them home to the funeral, and you're preparing all that. And in that case, I'm sure it's probably got, I wouldn't say it's upsides because you're around dead bodies, but honor, right? And it's got its ups, per se. But the other side that a lot of people don't talk about is that mortuary affairs is literally piecing together bodies on the battlefield at times. Like if someone steps on an ID and gets blown up, the mortuary affairs guys are out there picking up the pieces and pulling it together to figure out like who this person was and get as much of them back to their loved ones as they can. And you can't unsee that. They're also the people who get called to like go to Vietnam whenever a body's found from the Vietnam War or Korea or World War II. Like they get to go and explore these other places and help bring those people back. But there's a lot of stress and just, I mean, that's rough. Like if you can imagine just like coming up to a battlefield and there's someone who just had their face shot off and you're the guy who has to identify them, or like pieces and you're having to help pick stuff up, like that's a lot. That's a lot. So yeah, I mean, it's emotionally heavy, mentally exhausting. I don't necessarily envy these guys. Number 3, we're going to call this the laundry. This is the 92S, I think is what they call it in the Army. And they legitimately, the full name is Shower, Laundry, and Clothing Repair Specialist. And that just sounds miserable. Like, if you just picture this, you're in Mojave Viper. Well, we'll just say that Mojave Viper is like 29 Palms. It's where we go before deployment, or used to. You're in Afghanistan. It's hot. It's miserable. Dudes have been wearing the same outfit for like 5 days. It could stand on its own because of all the salt stains. And then you just get handed a bag of the grossest laundry with blood, sweat, tears, whatever, all over the dip spit, whatever. You get handed this bag of laundry and you get to deal with it. And like, that just sounds awful. But then contrast that with like your machine's going to break, or it's going to take too long to get people's back, or like you're going to lose stuff in the laundry, and people are just going to be pissed all the time because no one's going to be like, oh my God, thank you, you're my hero, you did my laundry. But they will sure as hell bitch when stuff goes wrong. And then on the shower side, you're in charge of maintaining the shower that obviously everyone's pissed about when that doesn't work. But you also get to clean up after all these nasty dudes who just went on deployment, went in there and showered and trashed the place and whatever, or women are throwing tampons all over. I don't even know. I don't want to know what goes into being this job. This sounds awful, and I've run into a couple of these Army guys, and they always just have this like, kind of like, I'm making it till I make it look, and I just can't fathom like that being your job in the military. That just sounds terrible. So that's why I call them laundry. Number 4 is the postal clerk. There's really no crazy reason for this other than you're basically just a post office guy. You're just like handling mail all the time, in, out. I'm sure there's stress with people who are trying to ship stuff and they have customs issues, or they're going through stuff, or you have to deal with like checking stuff when it comes in to make sure there's no customs violations on the way into like a deployment. And then you're the one that everyone's upset about when they haven't gotten mail that was sent to them, even though it's not your fault. And then also, like on top of all that, you join the military and you're working at a post office. It just doesn't sound very glamorous to me. I'm sure it's not a terrible job, but it just doesn't sound glamorous. Number 5 here, I went with crypto linguist, or really a lot of the intel and crypto and linguist side. And this really on the front end, like this doesn't seem terrible, right? Like you're in intel, you're in crypto, you're doing all this stuff. Like the job itself is cool, but until you get stuck in a SCIF, which is a special compartmentalized information facility. And this is like if you've ever watched a movie where you have to like hand your cell phone in and buzz through a gate, and you have to scan an ID card and buzz through another gate, and you're in like this windowless vault with no cell phone access. You can't even log on to like Google or social media or like check your email unless it's the military email, and it's like the secret military email, not the normal military email. And like I worked in one of those offices for like 2 years and it sucked. The whole no Windows thing and secret everything and no phone thing, like all of that, like just being completely cut off during work in a kind of high stress environment where you don't even see the sun is just not fun. So like the job itself is cool, but like high propensity for getting locked away in a SCIF, which is just not a cool environment to work in. Number 6 here, we've got infantry, the 0311s and 11 Bravos. And yes, this could be a great job. Like if you want to do this job and be infantry and be front lines and grunt and the pride and all the things, like go for it. But you should just know that when you're not in combat, all you do is train. You're in the field all the time, and when you're not in the field, you're sitting on your hands, waiting for word, bored off your butt, because there is no job for y'all when you're not shooting and training and infantrying. And so you're either training, like living in a tent out in the middle of nowhere in conditions, sleeping in the rain, digging a hole and dealing with the rain and just sleep deprived and high stress and whatever, and filthy and all the things, simulating deployment, or you're bored, wondering why you're sitting at work waiting on someone to tell you that you can go home because there's nothing to do, and they won't just let you go home and off. They're going to leave you there and say, hey, we'll come back when we have word about what's next. And you're just bored off your ass. It's like two total extremes. You're gone all the time, or you're bored off your ass. Not a whole lot of in between. And so like, while the job is cool and there's a lot of pride that comes with it, and there's the heroicism side, and like it scratches a lot of itches, you have to be aware that there's a lot of suck that comes with it too. And you need to really learn to love the phrase, embrace the suck, because that's going to be your life as an infantry guy. Number 7 here, we got military police. Sometimes we call them Blue Falcons, but we love them. But I mean, you're basically dealing with drunk service members. You're guarding a gate. You're kind of a cop. Like, there's the other side to this, which is like detainee handling on deployments and stuff that can, and security for like high level generals and stuff, PSD, like personal security detail and whatever. And there's like a lot of cooler stuff that military police can do when deployed. But in garrison, I mean, you're guarding the gate, you're doing traffic stops, you're dealing with like the phone call when a drunk Marine or drunk service member is being an idiot, or someone beat their spouse, or there's a fight, or like it just doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun. And then you always have to be the bad guy. Like nobody wants to get pulled over by another service member and get a ticket on base for like going 15 over. Just not fun. 8, we got the cook. I actually don't think this is a terrible job, but I mean, if you don't like cooking food, like the hours are kind of wonky. You're going to get up early and cook, and then you'll have some downtime, then you'll do lunch and cook, and then like you'll have some downtime, and then somebody else will come in and do dinner. Like they usually do shifts, but if you're doing all three, that could be a long day. And so like the cook side of things, like you're up early, you're cooking food. It's kind of a thankless thing. Like people enjoy it, but they always shit on the chow hall. So even though the food's good enough, like you're never going to feel like a 5-star chef. And so like at the early years, the cook is just not, like the culinary specialist is just not like the most glamorous thing. Now, down the road, it gets better. Like as you get higher up, you can go to very prestigious culinary institutes, and you can be like the personal chef for generals and Secretary of Defense. And like I have a friend who is currently at the Pentagon as a personal chef for somebody very high up the food chain. I'm not gonna say who. And that's really cool. He works side by side with this guy. He flies private plane with him. Like he is that guy's chef, and he's gone through like the Culinary Institute of America and like done some really cool stuff. And so there's that level, but at the entry level, like not necessarily fun. Number 9 here is combat engineer. And I really only put this here because it's always spun as like you're going to be building bridges and building facilities and building the town and the base and working on all the things in the infrastructure, and like you're going to be what makes everything run, and everybody's going to love you, and you're going to do all this awesome stuff, and you're going to learn construction, and you're going to build all this cool shit, and it's going to be great. And then like you get in and you end up like being the guy with a minesweeper walking in front of all the infantry guys scanning for IEDs. That was my experience in Afghanistan. You're like, beep, 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 beep. Oh, hey, there might be something here. Let's call EOD and hope I don't blow up. And like they're doing less of the construction and more of the like the combat side, which is, you know, some of that's cool too though. They get to do like detonation and blow stuff up and like whatever. But that's again not what you're gonna be doing the majority of. So like if you're going in for like blowing stuff up, probably won't do a ton of it. If you're going in for building stuff, you might get to do some of it, but I feel like it's just so many things that like you really have to be specific on what you want and understand you're going to get a little bit of all of it, and you may love it, you may hate it. It really depends on what you want to go in for. Number 10 here, I put CBRN, like chemical, biological, radiation, nuke guys. Like they're the ones who run the gas chamber and have all the canisters for gas masks to deal with all that stuff. And I only put it in here because it's kind of just a boring job unless something kicks off. And if something kicks off, it's a job because like that means you're dealing with all these chemical warfare things, which is not fun, and you're now the failing point for it, and it's just like super high stress. And then in the garrison, like you just run gas chambers, which I'm sure is fun, because you just get to like put CS gas in a chamber and watch people freak out. But it just seems kind of like a monotonous job where you don't really do much other than like the training side, unless something crazy goes down, which is not what you want. And then I put the 11th one in here as missile cop. I don't know the official term, but it's basically the guys who guard and or sit in the launch stations for missiles, because yes, we still have missiles and defense systems all over the country. And the reason I put this here is a couple of things. And I know one of these people, and admittedly, I still don't know a ton about what she does because she can't like talk about it because it's all super secret. But the locations that you get stationed for these are not always great. These missile defense systems are not like, they're not like in New York City, in Manhattan on the square. They're in like Kansas, Oklahoma, North Dakota. Like they're kind of in podunky, you know, rural areas and like not necessarily fun because they're out of the way, right? And then it's really like two positions you'll be here. You'll either be like the guy above ground who's just guarding the post, bored off his ass, just sitting there telling people to go away if anyone wants to come in or letting people in. Or you'll be like underground waiting on someone to tell you to launch a missile. And then like, if that happens, there's all this stress and things that have to happen, but that hasn't happened in decades, right? And we hope it never happens that we have to actually launch like intercontinental ballistic missiles out of these things or do defense against them. And so they just kind of sit there like Groundhog Day doing their thing, secret clearance, can't tell anyone what they do, where they work, what, you know, whatever, while they just kind of wait for a day that they hope never comes. And that just sounds as monotonous as sitting in the skiff. So I put it on the list. I'm going to throw one more bonus at you, and that's being the boot, which I kind of joke about, but like, I just want you guys to understand that when you are Nick the new guy at your unit, it's going to suck for a little while. Like until you get good at what you're doing and you're not Nick the new guy and you have some people under you and whatever, like you're the boot. Everybody treats the boot like so like just know that every job is going to have that timeline where you're just not treated well and it's just not great. And you're going to be like, oh, what the and then it'll get better. So like, just know that that's coming because everybody knows like Nick the new guy in the military is kind of just treated like kicked around a little bit, whatever. And we just don't want you to be blindsided by that. So I wanted to talk about it here. At the end of the day, no MOS is perfect. Everyone has their ups and downs, and you really just need to do your research to pick whatever you think will be the best fitting for what you want to do long term. I'm really curious. Drop in the comments either if you're in what MOS you chose and whether or not you love it or hate it and why. And if you're thinking about joining, drop in the comments what you're thinking about joining. And if you've got any questions, ask them. I bet you in the comment thread, we can hash a lot of this out from people who have served or are serving, giving feedback to people who are looking at doing that job. And, you know, I just ask if you're just going to be like miserable, negative Nancy, hateful guy, just leave it alone. Like objective feedback on these jobs for the men and women who are thinking about joining the military would be very beneficial. All that being said, I've done a couple videos on what I think might be the best MOSs in the military. So check one of them out right here. If you're looking for that feedback as well, have a great day. You guys are awesome.